what makes a man unforgettable? What makes one voice silence a crowd while another drowns in noise? Why do some enter a room as nobodies while others walk in and command it without speaking a word? The answer is charisma, but not the soft, sugary version people preach. Real charisma is not charm. It is not kindness. It is power, raw, silent, and irresistible. Machiavelli knew this truth. He wrote that men are ruled by appearances more than by reality, and those who master appearances rule the world, while those who neglect them are trampled into shadows. In this guide, I will give you 7 strategic laws of charisma, each one a weapon sharpened from the marrow of Machiavelli's philosophy. You will learn how to seize the room before you speak, how to radiate certainty that bends reality, how to rule by listening, how to ignite words into fire, how to fuse fear with devotion, how to command the emotional climate of any room, and finally, how to cloak yourself in mystery so the world chases what it cannot possess. By the end, you won't just understand charisma, you'll wield it. You'll turn presence into power, silence into command, and restraint into domination. So I ask you, when you walk into the next room, will you remain invisible? Or will you enter as a prince, a sovereign, a force that cannot be ignored? Law. Seize the room before you speak. Charisma doesn't begin with words, it begins with presence. The moment you cross the threshold, before a syllable escapes your lips, the judgment has already been cast. Your presence is your empire. Either you walk in as a sovereign, or you crawl in as a shadow. Here's the brutal reality. Most people execute their own downfall before the game even starts. They shuffle in like beggars, eyes darting for approval. They fidget with nervous hands, collapse their posture, shrink their frame, and wait for permission to matter. Pathetic. This is weakness in its purest form, a silent confession of irrelevance. The world does not bow to the timid, it does not crown the hesitant. It ignores them, steps over them, and forgets them. Power is taken, never given. Machiavelli said it plainly. Men judge more by the eye than by the hand. What does this mean? It means the illusion of command outweighs the substance of effort. Men obey the appearance long before they obey the deed. The one who looks like a ruler will be treated like one, even before he proves himself. The one who looks like a beggar will die a beggar, no matter what brilliance he hides within. So how do you seize the room before words are even spoken? You weaponize silence. You weaponize stillness. You arrive as if you already own the ground beneath your feet. Enter slowly. Never rush. Let the room adjust to you. Pause deliberately. Force others to register your presence before you move further. Stand tall. Your posture must declare sovereignty, not supplication. Controlled gestures, every movement deliberate, sharp, economical. Waste nothing. Hold your eyes steady. Make others look away first. Dominance is decided in those microseconds. Imagine Machiavelli at court. Would he burst through the doors, chattering nervously, desperate for approval? Never. He would glide in with cold composure. He would let silence gather like a storm cloud around him. He would let others fidget, speculate, and lean closer. Only when the tension was unbearable would he release a single word, and that word would strike like iron crashing into water, heavy, resonant, undeniable. This is the secret. Your silence can make others speak more, move more, reveal more, while you do less. Silence forces them to lean forward. Silence makes your eventual words feel carved from stone. And here lies the law. Internal mastery becomes external domination. When you command your body, your silence, your stillness, you command the room. You dictate the battlefield before combat begins. Every rival, every skeptic, every critic, reduced instantly to fighting from a position of weakness, because the room was already yours the second you walked in.
Hey guys, we're Wisdom, based in Abu Dhabi. We use AI tools to make these concepts come to life, but it's our amazing team who goes deep, breaking down powerful philosophical ideas and showing how they really apply in everyday life. We hope you enjoyed today's content.
Law 2. Radiate ruthless certainty. Insecurity is poison. Certainty is magnetism. People do not follow the truth. They follow the man who sounds certain of it. History is filled with fools crowned as leaders, not because they were wise, but because they projected unshakable conviction. Meanwhile, the cautious genius, dripping with hesitation, was ignored, discarded, forgotten. Most people are laughable spectacles of weakness. Their voices trail off into nothingness. Their words crawl with parasites like maybe and I think. Their eyes plead for approval before their mouths even finish speaking. This is not confidence. This is self-execution. Who follows the apologetic? No one. They are abandoned like weak dogs, pitied at best, despised at worst. Machiavelli stripped away the illusion of safety when he wrote, "It is better to be impetuous than cautious, because fortune favors decisiveness." A hesitant ruler is already defeated. His crown is stolen before it touches his head. Bold error will always be stronger than timid accuracy, because the bold shape reality, while the timid merely observe it. So how do you radiate ruthless certainty? Lock your eyes, unbroken, unflinching, forcing the other man to look away first. Purge your speech of weakness, kill maybe, and I think like vermin. Slow your movements. Haste is the body language of the insecure. Deliberation is the signature of command. Project inevitability. Speak as though what you say is not an argument, but a law already written into stone. Picture Machiavelli himself in a negotiation. Would he hedge? Would he stammer with perhaps? Never. He would speak with the authority of a man who believed the world had already aligned in his favor, and because he believed it, others would too. His certainty would bend the room, bend rivals, bend reality. Here is the essence. Certainty creates gravity. People orbit around it like planets to a sun. Certainty bends perception, warps logic, and silences doubt. The confident man is believed even when wrong. The uncertain man is ignored even when right. Confidence is not just a trait, it is a currency. Spend it lavishly until others bankrupt themselves trying to match it. And when you master unshakable confidence, you don't merely hold power, you redefine truth itself. Law 3. Rule by listening, not talking. Charisma isn't measured by the flood of your words. It's measured by the gravity of your silence. The most magnetic men don't dominate conversations with endless chatter. They dominate attention by making others desperate to speak, desperate to be understood, desperate to be acknowledged. And here's where the herd fails so miserably. They interrupt like impatient fools. They wait for their turn to speak instead of listening. They forget what was just said because their ego drowns out their ears. Their obsession with sounding interesting only makes them predictable, boring, disposable. These men mistake noise for power. In truth, their very desperation brands them as weak. Machiavelli counseled princes to listen carefully and speak sparingly. Why? Because information is ammunition. The silent man collects intelligence, desires, fears, betrayals, ambitions. The talkative man, on the other hand, spills his weapons onto the ground and hands his enemies the knife. In today's world, the law is unchanged. The listener owns the room. When people feel heard, they lower their guard. They reveal their inner maps, their weaknesses, their motives, their secrets. All of it slides into your hands, not because you demanded it, but because you engineered silence so skillfully that they rushed to fill it. So how do you rule with listening? Mirror their emotions. Make them believe you feel what they feel. Echo their words back. Prove you are present, focused, calculating. Kill the urge to interrupt. Silence is not submission. Silence is dominance. Sit on the throne of stillness. Let others exhaust themselves performing while you collect the spoils of their vanity. Picture Machiavelli at court. Would he chatter nervously to impress? Would he boast, interrupt, or overshare? Never. He would let ministers ramble, rivals confess, allies gossip, while he sat silent, absorbing, storing every word as a weapon. And when he finally spoke, he'd strike with knowledge no one realized he had, because he had harvested it from their own loose tongues. This is the hidden law. Restraint is leverage. Internal mastery of silence becomes external mastery of men. By listening, you don't just gather words, you gather control. And control is the rope by which you pull the world closer to your will. Law. 4. Speak with fire, strike with flame. Most men talk, few ignite. Words without fire are noise, and noise is invisible. But words set ablaze? They brand themselves into memory, scorch the mind, and rally armies. The weak kill themselves the moment they open their mouths. They flatten their tone until it dies in the air. They bury their meaning beneath spreadsheets, data, and lifeless detail. They drone like clerks, not leaders. And in doing so, they don't just bore their listeners, they euthanize their own authority. Nobody remembers statistics. Nobody follows a whisper. They remember fire. They follow thunder. Machiavelli revealed the truth. The vulgar are taken in by appearances, and the world is composed chiefly of the vulgar. The masses are not moved by sterile accuracy. They are not inspired by logic alone. They want to be stirred, inflamed, manipulated, moved like cattle by passion, and he who masters passion rules not just minds, but souls. So, how do you wield fire instead of noise? Command your voice, soft when you lure, thunder when you strike. Let it rise and fall like a weapon in combat. Use pauses as blades. Make silence slice deeper than words. Speak in stories, not sterile facts. Wrap your meaning in images that haunt memory. Deliver every line as though kingdoms hang on your breath, because they do. Picture Machiavelli addressing a rival court. Would he lecture with sterile details, spitting numbers and technicalities? Never. He would craft his words like flames, inflaming pride, fear, desire. He would turn speech into spectacle. The one who moves the heart controls the mind, and the one who controls the mind bends the body to his will. This is the law. Noise evaporates. Fire spreads. Noise is forgotten. Fire reshapes nations. Internal mastery of passion becomes external mastery of people. When you control the heat in your words, you don't just speak. You command the pulse of nations. You burn paths into history. Law. 5. Wield fear in velvet gloves. Strength without warmth breeds rebellion. Warmth without strength breeds mockery. Charisma fuses both. It is dominance wrapped in humanity. Most people fail in the most laughable ways. They posture with strength alone. Rigid, harsh, brittle. They earn fear, yes, but never devotion. Their power is cold, and cold power cracks. Others make the opposite mistake. They drown in kindness, dripping softness without backbone. They are liked but never obeyed. They are indulged like entertainers, tolerated like clowns. Both paths are pitiful. Both paths are powerless. Machiavelli unmasked the truth. A ruler must be both lion and fox. The lion terrifies with raw strength. The fox disarms with cunning. Alone, each is incomplete. Together, they form sovereignty. The lion without the fox is brute force waiting to be toppled. The fox without the lion is cleverness without teeth. But when united, they rule without rival. So how do you wield both? Smile with precision, not accident, not as a mask, but as a sharpened weapon. Your warmth must feel intentional, dangerous, unforgettable. Show gratitude privately. Public softness invites exploitation, but private acknowledgement binds loyalty tighter than chains. Strike with authority, then soften with touch. Make punishment terrifying, but follow it with reassurance that transforms fear into devotion. Balance ruthlessness with humanity. Make others whisper, "He could destroy me, yet he chooses not to." That paradox breeds worship. Picture Machiavelli's prince. Would he crush his subjects with cruelty alone? No. Tyranny breeds plots. Would he smother them with endless kindness? No. Affection breeds contempt. He would wield both, perfectly balanced. He would instill fear in public, then whisper gratitude in private, making obedience feel like loyalty and loyalty feel like love. This is the law. To rule bodies, strike with strength. To rule hearts, cloak it in velvet. The hand that conquers and comforts is the hand no one dares to defy. Internal mastery of this balance becomes external mastery of men. When you can strike like a lion and soothe like a fox, you don't just command their actions, you colonize their souls. Law 6. Command the atmosphere. People don't remember your words. They remember the storm or the calm you carry into the room. Charisma is not logic. Charisma is emotional engineering, but most men are weak beyond measure. They leak their moods like cracked vessels. They drag anxiety, boredom, or irritation behind them like diseased dogs. And because they cannot master themselves, they infect everyone else. A single insecure man can poison a room. A single irritated fool can collapse the energy of 10 others. These men are slaves to their emotions, and men who are ruled by emotions rule nothing. Machiavelli wrote, "A prince must learn how not to be good." The meaning is simple. You must master your mask. Appear not as you feel, but as the moment demands. Dictate the tempo, decide the energy, control the atmosphere. This law is timeless. In chaos, the one who radiates calm becomes the anchor everyone clings to. In apathy, the one who radiates fire becomes the spark everyone gathers around. The room does not belong to the smartest man, or even the strongest. It belongs to the man who engineers the emotional climate. So, how do you command the atmosphere? Audit your state before entry. Weak men stumble in unaware of the poison they carry. Know your mood before it leaks. Project the state that serves your purpose. Calm in storm, fire in silence. Gravity when others scatter. Transfer emotion deliberately. Speak, move, and breathe in a rhythm that forces others to synchronize with you. Shift masks as needed. Like an actor king, wear calm, wear passion, wear menace, but wear each with absolute conviction. Picture Machiavelli entering a hostile court. Would he arrive dripping with fear? Would he let nerves betray him? Never. He would mask his true state. If calm was required, he would be unshakable stone. If passion was required, he would be burning fire. And the court would bend, not because of reason, not because of truth, but because every man in the room unconsciously matched the rhythm he projected. This is the law. He who controls the mood controls the moment. Internal mastery of your state becomes external mastery of the crowd. When you dictate the emotional tempo, you don't adapt to power, you become power. The room is yours because every soul in it beats to the pulse you command. Law 7. Cloak yourself in enigma. Overexposure is death. Mystery is magnetism. The more you reveal, the cheaper you become. The less you reveal, the more they hunger. The weak cannot help themselves. They vomit every detail of their lives across tables, feeds, and conversations. They explain too much. They reveal too much. They bleed themselves out in a desperate attempt to be understood, and like cheap trinkets at a street stall, once revealed, they are picked over, consumed, and forgotten. Pathetic. Machiavelli understood the iron truth. Perception shapes power, and restraint shapes perception. Concealment is not weakness, it is multiplication. By hiding, you force others to imagine. And their imagination paints you larger, darker, more formidable than you could ever make yourself. In this age of oversharing, the rare man who withholds becomes untouchable. When the herd spills every secret for scraps of validation, the man who remains silent radiates terror and fascination. Scarcity breeds speculation, and speculation always amplifies power. So how do you cloak yourself in enigma? Speak less than you know. Force others to wonder what remains unspoken. Withhold details until they serve you. Information is leverage, never give it freely. Let silence sharpen curiosity. Pauses are blades that make others lean closer. Use absence like a weapon. Make them crave your return by disappearing when they expect you most. Picture Machiavelli at court. Would he spill his every thought to fill silence? Would he hand rivals his inner world on a silver platter? Never. He would drip just enough to lure them closer, then retreat into silence. In that gap, speculation would grow, and with it, his shadow. This is the law. Charisma thrives not in exposure, but in enigma. Internal mastery of restraint becomes external mastery of perception. When you cloak yourself in mystery, you force the world to orbit you. They chase what they cannot touch. They worship what they cannot understand, and they fear what they cannot see. Charisma is not a gift, it is a weapon. Machiavelli knew appearances outweigh truth, certainty outweighs wisdom, mystery outweighs honesty. These 7 laws are not suggestions, they are arsenals. Master them, and you won't just enter rooms, you will dominate them. Not as a participant, not as an equal, but as a sovereign who bends loyalty, fear, and desire into chains of command.
Thanks for spending time with us. If this sparked a new way of thinking, hit like and subscribe to keep the ideas flowing. And don't forget, check the description for the links to the resources and the original books we used today. We'll see you in the next one.